So today our guest is Tom Baker. I want to thank everyone for showing up today. We're going to discuss how to pay and bonus insurance agency staff. Let me start first with our disclaimer. We're a mentoring company, not a legal firm. We can discuss generalities and recommendations for using Inspire Nation business mentoring processes in ways that are consistent with our understanding of the laws. Our training is not a substitute for you obtaining competent, specific legal advice on any of the subjects covered in the training, scripting, and implementation of process suggestions. In some cases, there may be federal, state, or local laws, as well as specific carrier guidelines that may alter, impact, enhance, or supersede the way Inspire Nation teaches and recommends a process. Our training does not address these issues. Again, specific legal advice should be sought to ensure compliance. Quick notes, not all VoIP phone carriers play nice with GoToWebinar. So if you get a busy signal, dead air, or you just can't connect, make sure that you call in on your cell phone, because you probably are on a landline that is either VoIP itself or it doesn't play nice with voice over internet providers. On our training outline today, of course, we're going to bring on our special guest, Tom Baker, and we're going to have a quick poll question. Then we're going to talk about how to pay staff and how to reinforce processes with existing staff. If you have any questions, anytime during the webinar, you can always use the chat box. You can always ask a question, or you can always send us an email at helpdesk@inspireanation.org. You know, when we first hire staff, our whole goal is to increase our agencies, make more money for the agencies, allow the staff to make more money. Everyone's going to benefit from it. That's the plan. But then reality hits. And what we know is staff gets paid regardless of the agency's production numbers. And if we don't have systems in place to make sure that everything is in line, before long, production doesn't stay in line, and then payroll can easily become a burden. Well, my special guest today is going to show you how to stop throwing away your money, how to quit feeling like staff is just a noose around your neck. He's going to explode those myths about payroll and why they're such a burden to an agency. So with all that being said, I want to introduce my special guest, who is Tom Baker from Catalyst Insurance Systems. Hey, Tom, how are you today?
Great, Billy. Great to be here.
Good. Tell us a little bit about Catalyst Insurance Systems.
We are a software company serving exclusively the insurance industry, and our lead product is a talent management system called Symphony. And the exciting thing about what we're doing is not only helping agencies grow but develop staff, and we've been able to cross the boundaries between independent, captive, MGAs, niche agencies, working with some industry associations, because every business owner, the topic that we've got today, hands down is the single biggest frustration that I think any business has. And we get the privilege of coming in with some technology and support that is seeing changes in how agencies do business and how they grow.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to ask a quick poll question here to make sure everyone can clearly see and hear, and then we're going to get right into the training. So, Tom, let's jump right in. First question, why is staff pay and compensation such a problem in the insurance industry? We've been around forever.
One of the main reasons is how owners perceive compensation. Most guys think of it, it's an expense. I've got to pay it. It's like my electric bill. It's like my overhead. I've got to pay this out every month, but I don't know if I'm going to get anything back from it. And I don't like expenses. As a business owner, you probably feel the same way. I like investments. I want something I can put my money in and it comes back to me with more money. Most owners see compensation as an expense. They pay it out, not even looking for a return on their investment, because they're really using compensation in a way that they have found it doesn't work. And I think Jim Collins, Good to Great, any business owner needs to read Good to Great. But Jim Collins says the purpose of a compensation plan or system should not be to get the right behavior out of the wrong people. You're not trying to get people to do their job. The purpose of a compensation plan is to help you get the right people on the bus and keep them there. And that's a very different definition than most of the owners listening today have about compensation.
Well, I think most of the owners listening today, when they hire people, we talk about this all the time at Inspire Nation. I tell them, look, stop hiring for availability and start hiring for ability.
That's
A lot of times they hire people because they can sit from 9 to 3 on a Monday through Friday versus you're sitting in that desk for a purpose.
Absolutely. And when you just hire to fill a seat or to get, it's missing out not only on what the agency can benefit from compensation, but staff really do not benefit from traditional compensation, and particularly the hourly salary folks that are the main employees in agencies. Absolutely nothing to look forward to. You're going to get that same pay whether you do your job. There's no personal reward in it. There's not something I can look back at the end of the day and say, I've made it, I've done something. And not only that, if I can take twice as long to do my job, I'm getting paid twice as much to do whatever I've done. So the traditional way of compensation as an expense really doesn't work for the staff. They have nothing to celebrate. They have every reason to take longer to do their job. You've probably heard Parkinson's law is someone will take as much time as they have available to do their job. If I give somebody 2 hours to do a job that could be done in an hour, they'll take 2 hours. That's human nature. And the traditional method of hourly salary compensation just feeds right into that. That you want to base this plan for someone not on them as an individual, but this is anybody sitting at this desk. We're going to create a target for everyone to hit. They're going to know what their job is, and because of the accountability, the staff actually feel more in control. They feel more rewarded. They feel like they're accomplishing something. So this begins to build a culture that agencies can build on, and only performance-based compensation is going to do that. Otherwise, they're going to show up, they're going to sit at their desk 8 hours a day and go home. Not a whole lot of motivation in that, which goes back to that's one of the main reasons the traditional models really are broken.
What you just said is so true. I've done this so long, and I've done it for so many years, and I've always given staff a specific plan to follow. I've said, hey, if you're doing an endorsement process, here are the key steps of the endorsement process, and you need to do these 4 things in order for it to be done right. Where your system really impresses me most is how it ties into compensation. So if you, and I won't jump ahead, but if they do the things that we're asking them to do, then that means your compensation is based on this. And if you don't do those things, then you're not getting as much money as you could. So I love that synergy of our 2 programs, because for years we've taught them what to do, but your system comes along and says, okay, if you're doing it, we're going to show you how to benefit from it. And if you're not doing it, Mr. and Mrs. Agency, we're going to show you how you're leaving money on the table, below the table, dug in the ground in the hole somewhere. So I really, really appreciate that synergy of our 2 programs. So that's excellent. So I'm sorry, go ahead. You were getting ready to say something.
I was going to say, you probably have had owners say they're tired of babysitting, or they feel like they're babysitting their staff. They feel like they got to get staff to do their job. Well, one of the reasons they're in that position is because staff don't have that clear definition of what their job is. So there's no track to follow. And my management philosophy that's changed a lot over the years, what I encourage owners to do is go to their staff and say, look, nobody has to come to work. Nobody has to do their job. Nobody has to do anything. I am resigning from the responsibility and position to get you to do your job. We're going to enter into an adult agreement where we both know exactly what our responsibilities are. We're going to sign a contract. But staff, this is your job. It's your future. It's your career. I am here to help you along the way. I'm not here to get you on the road and keep you there.
Look, my job is not to turn you into a super producer. My job is to take the different KPIs or key performance indicators and let you know what it's going to take for you to be a super producer. Is that correct?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Perfect. So what are key performance indicators?
You and I, we've been around long enough to see different goal-setting strategies. And unfortunately, goals in the sense that, let me see how high you can jump. Let me put that carrot out there that you're going to go for. Those kinds of things work in some settings, but they don't work as part of a compensation model. So key performance indicators, rather than being these goals that we try to get people to jump and hit, they're really designed around the psychology. If I'm driving in a car, this is exactly the way we explain it to our folks. If I'm driving in a car and I look to the right, I'm going to steer my car to the right. It's just human nature, whether I mean to or not. I'm going to find myself going whatever direction I focus on. So the principle there is actions follow focus. If I can change what someone looks at on a daily basis, I can change what that person will do on a daily basis, and they may not even know that they're making the change. They're simply doing the same thing as if I'm driving the car steering to the right. So key performance indicators may be sales-driven. For example, we want you to talk to a certain number of people, and we want you to deliver a certain amount of quotes, close a certain amount of sales. Percentage of those are going to be multi-line. It could be things like following procedures, which is actually really exciting because we tie following procedures and returning phone calls on time directly to compensation. It may be, do you grow as a person and become a better you? Asking for customer testimonials. Any definition that is for anyone's job and not just producers or customer-facing positions, but key performance indicators are those business drivers that make each individual position a success. That includes accounting people, IT people, receptionists, licensed, unlicensed. Doesn't matter. Performance-based compensation, because of the key performance indicators, works for every possible job description and position in the agency.
You know, Tom, that's something that really excited me when I first heard about your program and I looked into it deeper, talked to you, is we've laid out at Inspire Nation, we've laid out your marketing assistant, here's what you're supposed to do. You're a licensed sales producer, here's what you're supposed to do. You're a CSR, you're an account rep, here's what you're supposed to do. But like I said earlier, we had never tied it to compensation. We had tied it to, you need to do your job because it's your job, and we figured you hired people who were the right people for the right job. And so we realized that most agents, like I said, hire for availability instead of ability. So I love the fact that your model allows you to say, you're a receptionist, here's how your receptionist duties I'm going to do in the agency, and here's how we can share in our agency bonus or share in our profit sharing or whatever it is that we want to share, because you're your key performance indicators. I think that's brilliant. I just think that's absolutely brilliant that your software does that.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jack Stack. He's actually one of my very favorite business authors. And his book, The Great Game of Business, he took over a manufacturing company 20-plus years ago and developed what he called a culture of ownership, which we rely on very heavily in our model. And if he hires a janitor, he tells that janitor, first thing you're going to have to do is to learn how to read a P&L. You're going to understand how cleaning toilets and sweeping floors is on a direct line of sight with bottom line profitability of the company, not just the people in sales, or everybody is on that line with the end goal of profitability of the organization. And if that janitor says, look, man, all I want to do is I want to clean toilets and sweep floors, I don't want this responsibility, that person doesn't get hired. Because Jack Stack's point is, when you create a culture of ownership that people feel like stakeholders, the game changes 180 degrees.
One of my favorite authors, or one of my favorite leaders, is a guy named Mark Fields. And Mark is the CEO of Ford Motor Company. And when Ford Motor Company brought in this outsider who was trying to turn Ford around, Mark Fields is the only one that stood up and said, my division is broken. My division is not 100%. Everybody else was lying and saying, oh, we're 100%, everything's wonderful, everything's great. And he stood up and said, no, we're not. My division is not. And so the outside leader appreciated that. And Mark went from being, pretty high on his division board to now he's the CEO of Ford Motor Company. But that's his same philosophy is ownership. Every single person on the line, on the floor, the janitor, it doesn't matter what you do, everybody has a piece of ownership in this company, but you need to know the value of your ownership and what it takes for you to maintain your ownership. And that's what it sounds like your key performance indicators do with your software. It allows people to know what their ownership piece is in the agency and what they need to do to maintain that ownership piece. Is that correct?
Exactly. And one article I read recently said some employees approach their job as renters. I'm just going to rent my space. This really isn't my home, but people who own a home take better care of it than renters. And are your employees, do they show up to work? Yeah, they're giving you their time, but they're just renting that job. And there's others who say, this is my home, and those are the people who are really going to help develop and add value to that home.
How does performance-based compensation allow staff to make more money? I know we've talked about it. I know I've got staff online, and they're like, okay, get to the juice on this. So how does performance-based compensation allow staff to make more money?
In our system, we add 2 additional sources of income for, and I'm just going to deal with the support staff, producers. Yeah, we can look at it a little bit separate, but since the majority of the people are going to be in that support staff role, we add 2 additional sources of income for each person. One of those types of income is performance income. The other is commission or revenue sharing. The performance income gets about 7 KPIs. There are maximum scores along with goals for the compensation period, and whatever percentage of the goal that they achieve is the percentage of their maximum score they get. So at the end of each quarter, they're going to get an evaluation score that's a direct reflection of the job that they have done. And let's say they've got $1,000 on the table for their performance income. If they get 95 to 100, they get all 1,000 other dollars. If they get 90 to 94, they're going to lose 25% of that, and they're only going to get $750. Now, in our system, the goals reset, and so they make it in a future quarter, they can get that money that they missed. But now that performance income is tied directly not only to the behaviors, but we do have a compliance audit, so we can put the goal of that as 100%. And returning phone calls and such could be audited. And if I audit 10 items and 9 of them are compliant and 1 isn't, that's 90% compliant, and that means I'm going to get less of my money because I have done less of my job. But it's objective, it's clear, it doesn't change, and that's what staff are excited about, because they're making more money from performance because they know what's required from them, and they know exactly how much money that performance is going to put in their pockets. So
if I switch over to you, Tom, can you show us like 1 or 2 screens of your system just so we can take it out of the abstract and put it into reality?
Absolutely.
Okay, are you ready for me to switch over now?
I am.
All right, I'm going to switch over to you, make you the presenter.
And
okay, great. I can see your screen.
And you should be seeing the software.
I can. It says 198,000.
That's the one. Let me go to, here is what staff look at. When staff log in to their dashboard, they're going to immediately see all of their KPIs that are assigned. And by the way, about 7 KPIs is the max. We do not recommend a long list. These are 7 things we want to turn the car right now, and next period we'll turn it a little bit more, but we're not going to impact people and just load them down, because nobody wins in that kind of a deal. So it's going to show their KPIs. At this point in the quarter, this is what they should have. This is what they actually have. This is their maximum score, and what their score is for the period, the percentage achieved. They should have 95.77. At this point of the quarter, this person actually has 54.38. Staff know exactly where they are. Now, let's say that I'm going to, and I want to ask for new customer referrals, because that's one I'm not doing so well in. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to put in the customer name, And did I get a referral? No, I did not. We also have drop-down boxes. I'm going to save that. That's it. That is all that staff has to do in order to log that achievement. And their score is going to go up. They've got it logged in now that they have an extra, that they got 2 instead of 1. So that's all they had to do in order to log an achievement. And this is the only screen they have to go to in order to manage and log their achievements. Now, we do have reports so that if staff want to see how they're doing, they can run a report. It'll tell them what they've been paid in past quarters. And this tells me what my goal for the total plan is, where I am year to date. My meet goal for this period tells me what my score is. This is exactly the same report that management runs. It tells me that for this quarter, I have $286 on the table. As long as I score 95 and above, I've got 1,020 for the year. 445 has been paid. So accounting, it's real simple. Whatever the person's score is, it's going to tell you exactly what to cut that check for. If they didn't get money one quarter, as long as it's not the last quarter in the year because the contract ends, but they can hit the goal for the next quarter, which will reset, and they will, all their money will come forward. So they're not going to lose it as long as they achieve it within that compensation period. They've got definitions. Say, I don't know what my definitions are. Here you go right here. You print it out. I have an audit. I have a job description, and I want to know what is my job. Here's a job description. They don't have to go to management. Everything's right here in their hands. We have support. Staff are encouraged to call me or my business partner, Nina. She's in South Carolina. I'm in Dallas. And we work very, 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 very closely with our folks, the staff, and management. But Billy, that's the entire dashboard. That's it. So we absolutely believe in keeping staff free to do their job. We understand that every one of them is busy, and we want to respect that, and we do respect that in the way we've designed our system.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And, of course, for my Inspire Nation members, you know, guys, we work so hard on, we don't call them KPIs. We call them money points. Are you hitting this money point, this money point, this money point? But that's awesome that we can actually take a lot of the things that we're doing in Inspire Nation and just add it right to your system. You know, maybe we know how we want to do our claims process. So we say, look, here are your KPIs for your claims process. Build it into the system. Let's put points. Let's put a point value on it, and now we can track that. That's that synergy that I really, really like from a mentoring standpoint, is to be able to say, hey, here's a system that we can use to track all these things that we know are going to be successful.
And yeah, speaking a little bit again to the owner saying, how much is this going to require for me? We have a peer evaluation that's a part of our system, and this was back about 4 years or so ago, an agency in Louisiana with 4 employees, and one of the employees did not play nice with anybody. And in an agency with 4 people, that's pretty important. The owner put our peer evaluation as 30 points. And by the way, points work. If you go over in a goal on a KPI, you don't get more. It caps at that, so you can't not do something and make it up on something else. And the first quarter, when this person got very low scores, she figured out all on her own that if she didn't change her attitude, at the least it was going to cost her money, at the most it was going to cost her her job. And by the second quarter, she started getting along with everybody, and the owner never had to step in or lift a finger. And
that's awesome that something like that happens, and that's what you want. And like I said, for a lot of agency owners, you said that there were great salespeople who just happened to get thrown into the owner role, you know, and now they're trying to figure out, I got these folks that I'm responsible for, and I'm barely managing me. Now I got to manage other people, and so they abdicate, act like it doesn't exist. You guys know what you're supposed to do, and then they go play golf.
And it's fun for us because we get to see one agency in Florida, they've been running 5% down for 5 years in a row. I mean, they were really having a problem. Walden Insurance in the Tampa area, and their first year they had a 7% increase, and they were so excited to go from 5% decrease to 7% increase. Second year they did 15% increase.
And yeah, it's amazing what gets respected once it gets inspected.
Absolutely, because if you can't measure it, you can't change it, and everyone listening knows that. This is not rocket science stuff. There's just been no way to do it. There's not been a tool out there or out there that's easy enough to manage that you don't have to recreate everything. And again, that's what we've loved about doing what we do.
And so, Tom, how do you want people to get in contact with you? I've got your direct line here, but is there an email address also that they can use?
Billy, T. Baker at CatalystInsuranceSystems.com.
So T. Baker at, because I know I got some folks that are listening by phone, T.
Right.
Baker at CatalystInsuranceSystems.com.
Correct. And our website is that domain, CatalystInsuranceSystems.com. You're also more than happy. Give me a call, and if I just speak to the owners for a month, whether we do business or not. If there's something I can do to help you with your agency and compensation, I am more than happy to do whatever I can, because I want to see you succeed.
Excellent. And his number, for you guys that are on the phone, his number is 972-961-4798. I'll repeat that again. 972-961-4798. Okay, perfect. All right, so for Inspire Nation, then we're going to come back to Tom. If you guys are interested in Inspire Nation, you can go to our website at www.inspireanation.org. You can always email us at helpdesk@inspireanation.org. That's HELPDESK, helpdesk@inspireanation.org. You can call us at 682-200-1808. That's 682-200-1808. For you techie guys, you can go to our website at inspireanation.org and download our mobile app. It tells you our events and upcoming activities and the latest videos we put out and all the different latest webinars. Like there'll be a recording of this webinar that's posted on our app. And for all of you, we've got a 20-page Excel spreadsheet training course with screen capture explanations, because I'm not a smart person, Tom, so I need pictures. I'm one of those paint-by-the-pictures people.
Me too.
So I put together this Excel spreadsheet that looks at some of the more common formulas that people need to know, like how do I split first names and last names if they're all in one field, or how do I change 1/1/2016 to January 2016, things like that we get these spreadsheets that we want to transfer data from one place to another, but for whatever reason, the two machines don't talk well to each other. So I put those common formulas, 20 pages of them, of common formulas in screen capture that people can really go out and take a look at and help them to use the spreadsheet formulas and other things that'll make their life a little bit easier as well. So just want to tell you guys that. So Tom, go ahead, and I'm going to let you close it out, since this was really about introducing your product to our network. So any final thoughts on what you want to say or close it out?
Most important thing I'd like to say is, Billy, thank you for the opportunity of getting to know your folks. And probably the best thing that I could end with is there's hope. There is a way to grow that's good for your staff, good for the agency, that's not just going to weigh you down and bury you with stuff. And being a business owner today is tough. It's small business, it's tougher and tougher. And compensation accounts for more money going out the door than any other expense you've got. It's critical you get a plan, that you have a way to know compensation is an investment not an expense.
All right, Tom. So again, thank you so much for being here, for being our special guest today. I absolutely appreciate it. And again, we gave you his contact information, but one last time, Tom, go ahead and give him your email address one last time, please.
Hope you email me at tbaker@Catalyst Insurance Systems, plural, catalystinsurancesystems.com.